Good evening and welcome everyone to tonight's Business of Aesthetics expert panel. We are a community dedicated to building success for our practice owners in med spa and the aesthetic industry. And of course, tonight's conversation, designing premium aesthetic patient experiences that increase retention, is one of the most important topics we can tackle right now. In an aesthetic market where clinical results are increasingly table stakes, the patient experience is the new differentiator. So what you'll be hearing tonight isn't theory, it's a blueprint for building a practice patients want never to leave. I'm your host for this session, Don Adisha, and I'm joined tonight by two genuine leaders in this space. By the end of this hour, you'll know exactly where your patient's experience is losing that retention and what a premium standard actually looks like in practice, and of course, how to start building one, whether you're a solo operator or a scaling team. Now, before we dive in, a few quick housekeeping notes to make you get the best of this hour. We are recording tonight. You will receive a replay link after the session. That being said, do not let that make you passive because the best value is happening right here, right now, live in this conversation. So find the chat, find the Q&A button below. Do engage with us throughout the discussion. If you have any specific questions for the panelists that you would like for me to ask them, do use that Q&A button to drop those questions in there. Use the chat to conversate with your colleagues here. I'll have my eye on both the feeds and do my best to weave in your concerns as we go along, or we will address them more in depth during the dedicated live Q&A session just for you midway through the event. Now, that being said, before we dive in, a genuine thank you to our sponsor who made it possible tonight, Echo Marketing. Echo has been the growth marketing partner for over 500 practices in aesthetics, healthcare, and legal industries across US, Canada, and the UK for over 15 years, helping practices get found, get chosen, and of course, get booked through SEO, conversion-focused websites, and content that builds trust before a patient ever calls. And they're doing something very special for tonight's attendees. Okay, these are some of the practices that are on board with Equa here. Yeah, so they're doing something very special for tonight's attendees. Sitting in the chat right now is Omer Khan, their Director of Customer Success. While our panel runs, Omer is live and available. Drop any digital marketing questions directly in the chat and he'll respond in real time. Omer, it's great to have you with us. Would you like to say a few words?
Yes, hi, it's my pleasure to be here. Hi, Antonia. Hi, Audrey. Thank you so much for making the time. There are more than 100 registrants for today's webinar, and we're all very excited to hear your presentation. Don, if you give me just a second, I want to show something on my screen just to set the mood. So to Audrey and Antonia and everyone that's joining in, take a look at these two charts. The chart on the left-hand side is US population since the last 10 years. Sorry, the chart on the right-hand side is US population. The chart on your left-hand side is everyone typing into Google for Botox near me. Notice that the population has stayed plateaued, about 7% growth, but someone typing Botox near me in the last 10 years has double, triple, 50 times over. So if there are not new patients coming into the market, where are these searches coming from? These searches are coming from existing patients looking to switch. And that's why loyalty today is so important. That's why designing premium experiences that work for you, that work for your market are so important. Because the last thing you would want is your existing clientele to go to Google search and type Botox near me. With that in mind, I will pause here and I'll let the rest of the presentation continue, but it's just an incredible insight that I wanted to share with everyone.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you very much for that, Omer, and it's an interesting insight to definitely keep in mind as we go through this discussion. With that being said, let's take a look at the main points that we have aligned here for tonight. Now, we're going to move through four key pillars here. First of all, defining the premium difference, then pinpointing retention, critical moments. Then we are moving on to building team-wide consistency. And of course, wrapping it all up with ensuring that your elevated experience is actually scalable and efficient. Right. Now, let's meet the wonderful panelists we got here tonight to discuss these key points. Right. First up, we have Audrey Neff. She's the Chief Marketing Officer for Aviva Aesthetics, an international speaker and global key opinion leader for MERS Aesthetics. Audrey helps multi-location aesthetic platforms bridge the gap between clinical excellence and business growth so that they can dominate their local markets while maintaining a premium brand identity. Audrey, it's great to have you on the panel.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Great. Excited for this conversation. And joining her is Antonia Stadler, founder of Saint Aesthetics Med Spa and Academy. Antonia is a licensed advanced practice aesthetician and DNA practitioner with over 15 years of industry experience. She empowers aesthetic professionals through hands-on education, blending genetics and advanced techniques to create results that keep patients coming back for a lifetime. Antonia, it's great to have you on the panel. Antonia, are you stuck? Oh, sorry.
You're kind of going in and out.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. I'm real excited to be here.
Right. All right, then. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here, and we are going to dive into the main discussion. My first question is to you, Audrey. What's the first thing that starts to break down when a practice delivers good clinical results, but the patient experience still feels transactional? Over to you.
Yeah, I would say the first thing that starts to break down, even if you got a good result, but the experience didn't feel 5-star and top tier, I mean, I would think about leaving. So, I think when we think about clinical or just overall, like what are patients buying in aesthetics? They're buying so much more than a syringe of filler or a vial of Sculptra or Hybridolute Radius or whatever it is, skincare product, laser treatment. They're buying a clinical outcome, yes, a clinical result, yes, but they're buying a full-blown experience. And I think that they're throughout the entire patient journey of a treatment plan, a treatment, whatever it is, there are so many things that can be broken very easily just from staff members not being trained, an unpleasant front desk experience, an unpleasant checkout experience, an unpleasant walking into the practice experience. Was the front desk person even paying attention to me? If I'm going to be handing you thousands of dollars when I walk out of this practice, I want to feel like I'm a guest at the Four Seasons or the Ritz-Carlton and have a very elevated experience that justifies, in a lot of cases, a much higher price point. So I would say to answer that, because I know we have to keep our answers under 3 minutes were the rules. So to answer to close it down, I'm just messing around. I like to keep it fun. I would say all in all, I think just everybody on your team needs to be aligned on what that patient experience looks like because it's all connected. And so from the front desk to who escorts the patient to the treatment room to who if they're numbing, who numbs them? Then the provider comes in, then who checks them out, who escorts them out of the treatment room? What are they given when they leave the practice? I think through all of these different touch points, at any of those touch points, something can go wrong. And that one little thing that goes wrong can mess up the entire experience overall. So to answer it at a high level, I think you need everyone completely aligned on expectations, for the business, for the practice, and what every single patient experience should look like. And those patient experiences need to be consistent and I would say with continuity of care as well. So regardless of who walks in the practice, they're going to be greeted the same way and treated the same way, like a guest at a 5-star hospitality brand.
Check. Now, what do you say to a practice owner? Actually, we even had a registering question regarding this same matter. What would you say to a practice owner who believes that if results are excellent, the experience doesn't matter?
I disagree with that. I think if you And once again, I don't know everybody's individual practice. Everybody has their own. You guys all know your patient base better than I do. I know if I put myself in a consumer's shoes and I walked into a practice and maybe the trash can is overflowing, they ignored me, I was brought back late. Okay, I had my laser treatment because I'm already there. Maybe I prepaid for it. I already had my deposit. I needed to come get it. Maybe my result was phenomenal and I'm happy about it. But do I want to go back to that practice? In my mindset, I would say no, I'm going to go elsewhere because it was not a pleasant experience outside of that. And I think the experiences that you provide also reflect. I mean, I think we need to realize we're in a medical industry and it's
Right.
elective medicine where patients are paying out of pocket with their own dollars. And because of that, and because aesthetics are not cheap treatments, an experience should feel very elevated to meet the price points that we as consumers are paying. So I would kindly disagree with that statement, in my opinion, but everybody's welcome to their own opinion.
Absolutely. And it's your opinion that we're here to hear tonight.
Maybe not. Maybe some people want
Yeah,
to hop off now.
definitely. I hope not. But
I'm just
as you
kidding.
mentioned, if a patient experience is mainly transactional, then what I'm understanding is retention is the part that really breaks down first, because you might be happy with the outcome, but are you going to go back? That's the question. Right. Antonia, where in the first visit should a practice set the clear standard, since patients decide quickly whether the experience feels premium?
So to me, a premium experience or patient experience is not about like just luxury. It's about precision, personalization, and follow through. So that means that every patient should feel seen and understood and genuinely supported during their consultation and then throughout their care with you. Um, I feel that at our practice, that looks like DNA level customization, educator led clinical authority, and systems that remove friction so our team can focus on real human connection. It's about making sure the patient's journey is uniquely theirs and they feel cared for beyond their appointment. So checking in on them after they've had their service, making sure it's all going good. I feel like that's really important. And yeah, just I feel like treating them like a human, you know, um, not being like too fake, I guess, just being really genuine with them, I feel like is really important to me, at least. I mean, all my clients I've had for a long time, and yeah.
That's the secret we want to find out here tonight. Now, treat them like a human. This is the best advice, of course, right? But under the pressures of understaffing, incredible competition, in areas like Houston, there's a med spa opening basically every other day. Uh, how do we how do we give that personalization, over and over again? How can we treat them like human, although time it might not be necessarily on our side?
I feel like you just don't want to rush their consultation or their treatment. You want to give them your time so they feel real important. Like you're not rushing through any of that. Answer any questions they might have. Um, and give them all of you. You don't want to rush it. If you do, then they're not going to feel important and they're probably not going to come back. I know that if I go somewhere, I want to be treated how I would treat my clients. And so I'd want someone to give me their time without being rushed and listening to me and what I really want or need, and not just going through like what they're supposed to say and going to the next
Check.
room. You know what I mean? But
Like
genuinely
going through a check.
caring. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So To definitely establish that premium experience right off the door. What I'm understanding is treat them like a human, i.e., don't rush. Don't rush.
Don't
Take your time.
rush. Yeah.
Yeah.
Make sure
It'll be
you
worth it.
give them your time, answer any questions, and yeah.
Is there ever a time where you would cut a conversation short?
I guess it depends. Maybe if it's something that you can't help them with, right?
Mm,
If they're expecting more than what you can do, because patients sometimes have unrealistic expectations that you cannot meet, and I guess then you would cut it short. I mean, you'd explain why.
Right. So keep it within expectations, and that's what I'm really understanding from that. If you can't do it, then just be honest about it.
Right,
Maybe I'm not the best person for it. So
right. Well, because they're
yeah,
just going to leave disappointed. You know what I mean?
and
So,
that's one thing we really want to avoid.
right. We don't want that.
Now, Audrey, as practices scale, how do you create consistency without losing the personalized experience that made patients loyal in the first place?
I mean, I think it kind of ties back to my other question. When people talk about scaling, and I think there's
Hmm.
people think scaling is one thing and it's actually something else. If you're going to scale a business, let's say you're going to scale from 1 locations to 2 locations to 3 locations to 4 locations to 5 locations, whatever it is, it goes back to what I already touched on, which is consistency and continuity of care. So whether I went in practice location 1 or practice location 5, is the experience going to feel the same? And I talk about branding a lot, and I think a lot of people like and this is what I'm going to just give my opinions again.
Yeah.
What is a brand? Okay. And I think a lot of people have different definitions of what a brand is. And so I like to call this sort of like a $1 billion question I ask a lot when I am, lecturing or training or whatever it is okay. And everyone on this webinar can ask yourselves this, like, how many of you guys think that you have a unique brand? And I assume 99% of everybody is going to say, yes, I have a unique brand. And a question I ask all of the time, and because I think that it proves a very important point, is for those of you who think you have a unique brand, if I were to come into your practice, what day is it today? Tuesday. So tomorrow, Wednesday morning, and take every single staff member into a separate room and ask them each individually, what is your practice's unique value proposition, or what is your brand? What makes you different? Would every single staff member say the exact same thing? And usually when I ask that, a lot of people are like, "Oh gosh, you know what? They might not." And I joke and say, "Then you're right, your brand is unique because you're the only one who even knows what it is." And while, we can joke about that, and yes, it's funny to have a good laugh, but it does prove a point, is when it comes to scaling and you're going to go from 1 location to 2 location, your team needs to be bought into that. But beyond that, the only way that you can do that effectively is everybody needs to be bought into what your brand is. Why should a patient choose your practice over another practice down the road? And everybody just needs to be aligned on that. It's like that. What's that business book? I haven't read it in so long. Good to Great by Jim Collins. And he talks about you need the right people in the right seats on the bus before even know where the bus is going. And I feel like that's very relatable to, I mean, any small to medium-sized business. But I think when it comes to scaling, it's continuity and consistency of care, and having a brand that everybody understands what that brand is and that they're bought into it as well.
Audrey, I'm just curious from all our listeners, they might, like you mentioned, they might be thinking they do have a unique brand, right? They're going to take their team, tomorrow individually and ask them this question. What is the ideal sort of answer that you're looking for? What is a unique brand value proposition?
Yeah,
If you
and it's
could
a
give
great
us an
question.
example
I have like a full exercise. I actually I do workshops on this stuff. I have a full exercise, and it's like a series of maybe 20 questions, and I'll have groups of people, so in their practice groups, sit down, and it's an interactive exercise that you can do with your team, and I'm happy to send it to anyone. I'm sure you can give them my email address if anybody wants to do it. But Well, it's basically, okay, let's collaborate together. If we're already a team and we don't know what our unique selling proposition statement is, because if someone asks you, like if you're stuck in an elevator with someone and someone says, why is your practice the best practice? Or what do you do? What are you going to say? And everybody needs to be articulating that the same way. And so it shouldn't be longer than honestly like 2 sentences. It should be very quick, concise to the point, but it should articulate why you are different or just what is your unique approach to aesthetic medicine? Because while we are offering similar treatments, procedures, products, devices, capital equipment, you name it, how do we differentiate ourselves beyond that? And so that's a multifaceted question. I typically recommend people to do exercises and with a multitude of questions, and then you condense, you work it down. And it's a several week process before you actually get it if you don't already have a unique selling proposition statement or a UVP, a unique value proposition statement. But yeah, I think having a unique brand is everybody believes and says and does the same things, and they believe wholeheartedly in the vision and the mission of your practice, and that they stay grounded on what your core values are. And believe it or not, very few med spas have a mission statement, a vision statement, and core values. I have a whole course I teach on that too. But every business should have it. Like that's what you need to stay grounded in. And you have something forward thinking. Okay, this is our mission for everything, mission for our patients for every single day. When we walk in our practice, we know what we are going to do for every single prospective patient, existing patient that walks through the door. We know what we want to do. What is our vision for the business over the next 2 years, 3 years, 5 years? And then what are the core values that we are never going to abandon, regardless of changes that happen in our practice? And then using that for hiring, for firing, for culture development. So I could go on and on about that, but I don't even know if that answered your question. I always get distracted with something else and talk about something
No,
else.
definitely. I mean, we really appreciate the passion and it definitely gave us the framework. Now, my only question remaining is, can you give us an example?
Yeah,
What
an
you
example of like a unique value proposition statement.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes,
So if
please.
somebody shoves me, if I'm in the elevator where someone says, why is your practice different? We are Boca Raton's premier medical spa with over 800 Google reviews, making us the trusted provider in advanced anti-aging, functional medicine, and longevity care. I mean, it can be as simple, that's just off the top of my head. But now 800 Google reviews, if you have 800 Google reviews, make that a part of your UVP. That's impressive. And that instantly builds trust from a consumer perspective. So I think that there's a lot of different ways that you can make a UVP. It's not copy and paste, it's not cookie cutter, but time's up. But I mean, if someone said that to me, I'd be like, 800 Google reviews, I want to go there.
Right, right. It's to really get in their mind space, right? Build that authority within 2 sentences. Really appreciate it. You gave us the framework. You also gave us an example to really what to look for in an ideal UVP. Appreciate that, Audrey.
Good job,
Now,
Audrey.
I
sorry?
have better examples.
You can go and go and go. I'm like, yeah, no, I'll just listen to you for sure. I'm new to this, so I'll listen to you. And yeah, I'm learning right now from you.
That's what the community is all about. We learn from each other and that'll make everyone better and the community better.
Yeah,
So,
I like
Antonia,
listening to her.
it was just, with regards to like the patient expectations and having a written team standard so that everyone on the team are on it together, especially around personalization and that reassurance and also follow up, like Antonia mentioned earlier.
Yeah, I think it's great to have. I think the more documentation you can have in a business, the better. And that's good for future and forward thinking down the road. If you eventually want to build a business, that's an asset that you can sell or have an investor, whatever it is. Those are things that buyers look for, are documented processes and SOPs. So, I think the more SOPs that you can develop and just things that you document. So let's say you bring on a new team member. Whoever is responsible for training Susan, okay, Susan, this is how we greet this is the go through it. Like, this is how we greet everybody. This is how we answer the phone. This is how we check people out. And so then now, because these things create systems and scalability too, if it's documented versus there's no documentation. And so let's say you have I'm just going to use an example of a larger practice. Maybe there's two front desk people. One person does things, Susan does one things one thing one way and Karen does things another way. So whoever gets trained by them is going to have a completely different type of training experience. And now that creates a disconnect with continuity. So I think documentation is key, and then making sure everybody knows what is expected of them, and also holding weekly meetings, monthly meetings, quarterly meetings with your team. I think a lot of people overlook something as simple as having a Monday meeting, a Friday meeting, talking about the patients that are coming in or what happened this week, or maybe we do a phone call role play, like just all of these little things that we can do to not only, I think things like that, while I think maybe some people roll their eyes at that. I think overall it builds a better team. People are more aligned on what's going on in the business, and they feel like they're actually a part of something versus being like a siloed employee. So I think team meetings are really, really critical. And I think a lot of practices don't actually prioritize them.
Audrey, I'm curious, what's the ideal time you would dedicate for a weekly team meeting?
It would depend. I think if we're going to do like a Monday morning before the week starts, it could be 30 minutes and we go through all the patients that we have on the books. If it's a Friday, maybe, and it's end of week, maybe it's 45 minutes. But once again, you being more efficient is obviously ideal. But and while people say, well, that's more time, or maybe we have to pay that employee an extra for an extra 45 minutes that they worked, we can't think of it as an expense. We need to think about it as an investment in the people that we are building our business with. I think so often people view things as expenses and not as an investment. And I think that there's a very big difference between the two. What are some things that you do
Some
that your
things that
patients
I
just
do.
love? Yeah.
Some things that I do is when I'm with a patient, I try to like find that thing, like that one thing that we might both have in common somewhere, right? And sometimes it takes a lot of digging. Some people don't want to be open, they're really closed off. But I know that within some time while I'm with them, I'm gonna find that thing and I'm gonna get them to open up, and then, they just want to talk then, right? Now I'm like almost like a therapist with them. They come in and they want to talk to me. And so now they're excited to come see me because they have all these things they want to tell me, right? Because I feel like I'm easy to talk to in that matter, I guess. I just being like open and non-judgmental to everybody. And then, you got to give a little bit of yourself out there, so then so they feel comfortable telling you what they want to tell you. And I just feel like building, it's almost like a friendship, right? You become like friends with your clients almost. You just get to know them over the years and being open, and yeah, you always got to find that thing that you.
How would you change that into the vision statement, Audrey? What Antonio just
Or
shared.
I was writing down actually a
How
note.
would you how would you change that
Which
into
is,
a vision statement? I think that's great, right? The one that you shared with the Google reviews. So how would we use something what Antonio shared
yeah,
as a
I would. So people feel like they're in a very comfortable space with you. And this would take noodling to do, like writing. It's good to just write out all of these things, and then you start to condense it into maybe 4 paragraphs at once, and then you can like continue to noodle. But I would do
That's really
something that makes it feel like a consumer or a prospective client, when they come to you, they know it's going to be a very personalized experience and have a personal touch.
Yeah.
And then you could run with that. And yeah.
And Antonia, I actually had a follow-up to your thoughts there. Are you actively looking for that commonality? Are you trying to fish it out of them? Or is it kind of a more natural, spontaneous thing?
I think especially if it's a new client, I'll tell them a little bit about myself, right? So they can get to know me. And then they almost just want to like open up, right? And tell me about themselves. And now we're building a relationship. And I don't know. I've held on to a lot of clients just being really genuine, I guess.
Yeah.
Just being genuine and real. I feel like people want that because they might go to places and they're just not getting that genuine, loyal touch. I guess, but then also my services are always, of course, they're leaving happy too. So, and I might spend a little extra time on if I have it, I always spend, if I have extra time, I always make sure to spend it on my clients, So I just give them a little bit of extra love and they appreciate that. So yeah, I think that there's little things that you can do to hold that retention and keep your loyalty,
Amazing.
I love that. I want to
So
add something to that because I totally
please
agree.
do.
Around the extra time thing. I think a
Yeah.
lot of people get so now while KPIs and metrics are incredibly important, we should all be measuring all of these things. I think something that sometimes we overlook are for those of us who maybe we're working with a consultant and they say, your revenue per appointment needs to be higher, your revenue per hour needs to be higher. Yes, these are critically important things that you should take into account. But I think, in my opinion, like there are things that will drive lifetime value higher. And on the time concept, and I can tell you this firsthand by going through countless med spa financials and doing financial analyses that I do day in and day out all the time. In a lot of cases, practices that have their neurotoxin appointments 30 minutes instead of 60 minutes have a much more successful and financially healthy business. And when you look at that, just looking at that, you would think, well, that's stupid. Why would you do that? You could do 2 tox appointments in 30 minutes and generate double the revenue. That's not how you need to think about it. You need to think about it as I'm going to sit there with this patient and make my tox appointment 30 minutes and build a phenomenal relationship with this human being so that they love me, they trust me, they feel like they're my friend, and they will spend so much more money with you in the long run.
Right.
And so I think a lot of us get consumed around tweaking all of these things because it needs to hit this number. And I think that there are a lot of ways where, in some cases, time is on our side, even though time is a very expensive thing for all of us. That's something I would add as well. Not every practice, but a lot of them.
And then educating the client, of
Yeah.
course, on, that's important too, to add into any appointment. So I just feel like, yeah, I could see that.
Appreciate this. And that's how the conversation will flow. So yeah. Now, my next question here to you, Audrey, kind of builds on that previous point you made. So today's patients are more educated and price aware than ever. How should practices approach consultations and lead response without sounding overly sales driven?
Yeah. So these are 2 questions in one.
That's right.
So I'll go lead response first, and then the other part was consultation.
Yep.
Okay. So lead response, well, speed to lead is literally so important. Follow up with leads, ideally in less than 5 minutes. After 2 hours, that lead is essentially dead. You can Google and find statistics and data on there. After even 30 minutes, the conversion rate or potential of you to convert that lead drastically drops. So ideally, less than 30 minutes, in my opinion, less than 5 minutes, you want to reach out to that lead. Obviously, that's within normal business hours. And there's AI tools and things like that you can implement now for after business hours. But speed to lead is critically important because if we think about it, if I'm going to call 2 practice, let's say I'm a millennial consumer and I could talk about millennials all day. One of their core values, there's 5 core values of millennial consumers, is choices. And I'm not going to typically reach out to one provider. I may reach out to maybe I'm looking at a couple of different ones that I have kind of put on my short list. Practice A doesn't answer the phone. I fill out a form. They don't call me. I call practice B. They answer the phone, or maybe they didn't, but they reached right back out to me and have a conversation with me. I book a consultation with them. I go in, I commit to a treatment plan, and I spend my money there. And I forget that I even called practice A. And the sad thing about this scenario, and I want all of us to keep this in mind, is the sad thing about this is practice A may have been a more skilled injector, a more skilled provider. And maybe practice B wasn't, and they were less trained, but because they handled the follow-up process or they answered the phone, they go there. And so that one patient could have been worth $45,000, $50,000 over the course of 5, 6 years, whatever it may be. And that's a very reasonable amount of spend that, a mid 30-year-old patient would potentially spend. So That's how I'd answer the lead thing. On the consultation thing, what was the first part of the question again?
Right. Uh, so patients are more educated and price aware than
Oh,
ever.
yeah.
How should practices approach
Yeah,
consultations?
so the consultation, you definitely need to spend enough time. I don't find 30 minutes to be enough time. I think it should be at least 40 for a full-blown medical aesthetics and or if you're doing functional medicine and all of these things. 45 to an hour is typically what I have seen the most success with. And then there's a lot of different stages, right? You need to read the room. You need to understand
Mm,
who the patient is. Like, are they nervous? Are they fidgeting? Don't stand and
mm,
hover over them. Sit down with them at eye level and have a conversation. Ask them about their concerns. And you know what is something else that we should all ask our patients, specifically on aesthetics? When someone is coming into that consultation room, they're obviously self-conscious about something. And so
oh
I
yeah.
think to flip the script a little bit is to say, before we go into your concerns, I want you to tell me something that you love about your face or that you love about like something like that, so that they kind of drop down those barriers where they might feel like, because they're all there for a reason. So, and we want to empower these people and help these people, but ask them actually before we get started, like, you have beautiful
Mm,
eyes, whatever it is, like, I need you to tell me something that you absolutely love about yourself first. And then it kind of creates, it instantly kind of makes them just feel more comfortable. And from there, I think a conversation flows a lot easier. And then obviously open-ended questions. You don't want to be talking the whole time. You want to be listening more than you're talking, developing the treatment plan, if that's 6 months, 12 months, utilizing before and after photos of patients just like them, their same Fitzpatrick skin type, age, skin concerns that had similar concerns as them and went through a similar protocol and treatment plan that you're recommending to them. And then if you have other ancillary things in the practice, such as a membership program or a VIP program, you can bring those in too, because from a cost standpoint, if
mm,
let's say we have a 6 month treatment plan and you have a beauty banking program or a membership program, people struggle with selling memberships. And I actually find them to be a really great way to increase conversion with treatment plans. You bring the membership program up, is actually, this is a 6 month treatment plan. We actually have this incredible VIP membership program that, the majority of our patients are a part of. If you join, you actually will receive VIP pricing on all of the treatments, procedures, and retail products that we're recommending to you in your plan. So it's a win-win. Why would I not do this? And then I think it's always good to clarify what the next step is with the patient as well. So when they leave that consultation, they know what is the next thing that they are doing, what is the next appointment that they are booking. So I mean I could answer that question for an hour, but at a high level, yeah.
At a high level, speed is important to lead responses. And then when it comes to consultations, making people comfortable because they're coming to your practice because there's something that is making them uncomfortable. So
Mhm.
those are some great points there, Audrey. Appreciate
I
you.
liked how you added in there to have them say something good about themselves in the beginning. I like that. I'm gonna start
Absolutely.
doing that. But I've always said that, like, everyone here is, self-conscious about something. That's why
Yeah.
they're here, right? Whether it's their lashes or their skin or like, their wrinkles or their hyperpigmentation, whatever it is, right?
Mhm.
And so that's the beauty of aesthetics.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I agree. That was great. I like that. I'm gonna do that. Make people
Amazing.
say something good about themselves to start with.
Yeah, or what's something that you love about yourself. I
Yeah,
think it's
I love
maybe
that.
not everybody likes that piece of advice, but personally, I like it.
Yeah, I like it too.
And in the long run, the LTV also likes it apparently. So there we go. Uh, Now, before we move on, I do have a quick thing to share here. Right, let's see. Right. So we spent the last half hour building something really genuinely valuable, a framework for premium patient experience that actually looks and feels at every stage of the journey. But there's one more layer that makes all of it land. And right now, while we're talking, a potential client in your local market is searching for the best med spa near me. Another, perhaps, a filler consultation and another for microneedling results. They're looking for the exact kind of practice that we've been describing tonight. So The question is, did your practice show up when they searched? Because if it didn't, the experience you worked so hard to build for never got the chance to matter. And that's where Echo Marketing comes in. And for over 15 years, they are currently supporting over 500 healthcare practices across the US, Canada, and the UK, become the first name their ideal patients find and trust. The premium experience that we have been unpacking tonight, it deserves to be found. So as a token of appreciation for being here, Equa is offering everyone in this session a complimentary marketing strategy meeting. Equa's team will spend several hours before your session researching your practice's current online visibility, SEO positioning, Google AI presence, and local competitor landscape. So you walk in knowing exactly where you're invisible to your ideal patients, and you walk out knowing what to fix first. So our team is dropping the link in the chat right now. You can go ahead and scan that QR code on your screen or click that link. It'll take less than 60 seconds to book, zero commitment. You're just reserving your spot. Now, the only thing you might be risking by joining this meeting is an hour, right? There's no obligation whatsoever. But the only thing you're risking by not booking it is another year of your ideal patients finding someone else first. So go ahead and grab that link. Omar, is there anything you would like to add?
Yeah, I would say, 7 out of 10 practices who book the appointment never really go on to use our services. They discover things that they can themselves fix or have their marketing team fix. So it's not for everyone, but just go ahead and use that session so that you could learn about some things today that are deterrents to new patient bookings. You'll find it incredibly valuable, and I look forward to meeting with you with my team. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Omar. All right, now we'll get into a very exciting session here, your Q&A. We got some questions from our registrants. We had a question here from our audience as well. Boom. Right, let's answer some of those questions here. This is a bit of a free-for-all, so please feel free to join in. Let's see. Let's start with Wanroy. Wanroy's question here. What systems or processes do you see working for practices that successfully re-engage patients who came in once but never returned? And is that something most clinics are even tracking? Audrey, would you like to start this one off?
I actually have an interesting take on this. And this is a great question, by the way. So I think we all are going to have patients that come in and then they never return. And so I think there's a couple different ways to kind of navigate this question. Is one, what was your consultation like? I mean, if they came in initially interested in wrinkle relaxers and then that's all you did, and then it's like, okay, bye, see ya. Remember to book your appointment in 90 days. Once again, you didn't build me a treatment plan. So to me, you're just a tox mill. So I think you need to actually have a consultation with every single new patient, whether it's a skin health consultation with an esthetician, if that's initially what they're interested in, or if it is something that, needs to be passed over into the injectable realm. People think that we in this industry are experts. We know what the patients need. Consumers don't really know what they need, right? They see stuff on social media. They think they need this. It's our job and our duty to educate them effectively. So I would say a big reason for that is poor consultation. I would also add around patients that don't, and this actually ties into this. So we ran at Aviva Aesthetics, and we have 17 locations now. We actually ran with one of our larger practices that has a very good mix of aesthetics, functional medicine, and wellness. And we're all seeing the integration of those finally come together. And to be honest, I wish it came years ago, because how you are, like your gut health, everything inside affects your skin health. If you're deficient in vitamin C affects collagen production. Like there's all of these things that are all interconnected. But we ran a patient lapse report and compared data for like patients that had not returned in like 6 to 8 months or something, and then compared it to patients that were considered the most loyal or things like that. And the patients who were the most loyal compared to those who initially came in is the patients who lapsed. they consumed one or two aesthetic treatments versus the patients who were actually generating the most lifetime value, let's call it, in recurring revenue, were consuming aesthetic treatments, wellness treatments, retail products, all of these different service categories, and that creates more stickiness for a patient. So I think once again, it goes back to building comprehensive treatment plans. It goes back to, even if they're coming in for aesthetics, let's talk to them about their lifestyle, their health. A lot of times are we going to do panels and blood testing and all of these other things? Do we have nutraceuticals? I mean, there are so many great retail products that can seamlessly be implemented into medical spas now to enhance treatment outcomes from the aesthetic route and skin health, but also help them be healthier on the inside. And so I think we're barely scratching the surface of that, because I think it's a very undertapped opportunity.
Okay, so really having more service categories and educating about even your retail products and how that can align with their final outcome. The outcome being a more lifetime sort of based vision is what I'm understanding, instead of this one-time treatment.
Yeah, we want to do it. We'd be doing a disservice if we don't educate on people everything that they need to be the most confident about themselves and live a better, healthier lifestyle. Like, we'd be doing a disservice if we don't tell them all of these things, and then they leave. Maybe they did have issues, or then they go somewhere else, or then they're buying supplements on like Amazon or something. And so I think as medical providers, we made an oath to serve every single person that walks through our door. And I think it would be, while some of us get caught up on, oh, I don't want to be salesy or sell, the mindset is we would be doing a disservice if we don't educate these people on everything around aging, functional medicine, skin, whatever it is, depending what we have in the practice. So I think it's just a mindset shift. Not everyone will say yes, right? Just because you educate them doesn't mean that they're going to say yes, but it will increase your conversion rate 100% from consultation to treatment plan.
Check. The key word over there, what I understood, is confidence, because you're not necessarily treating for, sure, they're coming in for a specific sort of treatment, but at the end of the day, confidence is what you're building, and that can be built over and over again through the lifetime. We got another question from Audrey Campbell. Panel the provider who clinically performs well but consistently underdelivers on the experience side. This was asked by one of our audience members, Audrey Campbell.
And everybody manages their team differently, but I think you should always, I think that if there is a disconnect between, once again, okay, you're giving great, what to do with the syringe or the laser,
Right.
but you're very like standoffish and you're not personable and people aren't connecting to you, that's going long term, that's going to affect retention. And
right.
yeah, exactly. Like, okay, because you have to put ourselves in the mind of the human. Even if, okay, that result was great, but she was like totally like, just didn't even talk to me, didn't ask me how my day was,
Right.
inside, like in my gut, I just don't like that.
Right.
And
You're
now
probably
maybe
not
there's,
gonna be there
there's people in the
long.
universe that maybe that's okay. I know from my point of view and millennials' point of view, most, like a lot of them, which a core value of millennials is also experiences, I would get uncomfortable with that. And so from an owner standpoint, I think some people jump the gun too much, but I think that you should always give someone the opportunity to change their behavior before you let them go. And so communication is key. If someone is doing something that isn't up to standards of how your practice is approaching the patient experience, and everybody else is doing what they need to be doing, then there's one provider that doesn't do that. One, that affects the culture. If all of your team members that have been told to do something see that you're keeping a team member, doesn't even matter how much revenue she's bringing in, that isn't doing that, that creates toxicity in the culture. So I think we need to think about it from multiple different lenses. Is if it's like if someone comes in late every single day with their Starbucks and they blame it on traffic, but all the other staff members are always there on time, and then nothing happens to this other person,
Right.
it's why are you treating this employee different? And so to answer that question, you need to sit down with them. You need to have an honest conversation, tell them what you would like them to change, and then give them an opportunity to correct their behavior. I think it's very unfair if you don't give them an opportunity and you just go right to letting them go. I think it's fair to because sometimes we're all wired differently. So maybe, you
Right.
know, some of us that are analytical and things like that, we don't think about connecting with you know the patient. Like we're medical and analytical and we just want to do the treatment and then have the next patient come in. And so I think it's always good to give you know, communication is key. You need to talk to them in a non
Yeah.
like aggressive confrontational way. Just sit down with them, do it in private. Don't do it in front of your
Mhm.
team. I think you should always have conversations like this in private. Don't throw them under the bus in front of your entire team. And then give them an opportunity to correct themselves. And then you can reassess in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, whatever that may be.
Yeah, that sounds fair for sure.
That sounds fair.
Don,
That
if
sounds
I
fair.
may, I want to answer the first question, just add my comments to what
Okay.
Audrey mentioned with regards to patients finding you, choosing you, meeting you for the first time and never seeing you again. There was a concept called BAM-FAM, book a meeting from a meeting. It will be great to have that as a practice strategy, especially for new patients, if the treatment allows to book the next appointment or have something in the schedule before you let them go.
Yeah.
Because especially during the high season, when we are dealing with a lot more patients than we did previously, it can get often missed. And usually, if you look at your data, you would see those are the new patients during that time that didn't come back. But if you do this, there's a chance.
Yeah. That's a good point. Rebooking is huge. Like new patients, your rebooking rate should be 60% plus. Existing
Mm.
patients, it should be 80 to 85% plus, if not higher than that. And a lot of people don't have rebooking processes in place. So that was a good point. I agree with that.
Thank you very much. And before we wrap up this session here, I would like to. There's a question we had from one of our registrants, Michael, who I'm assuming is a practice owner by the looks of it. What are you seeing happen between the moment a potential patient shows interest online and the moment they actually book? Omer, considering this is a bit of a digital marketing situation, is it possible for you to give an answer here?
Would you mind repeating that? I think I caught
Yes,
that, but
yes,
just wanted to
sure, sure.
confirm.
Of course. What are you seeing happen between the moment a potential patient shows interest online and the moment they actually book? What's
Yeah, so there are many things that happen. Uh,
Mhm,
Obviously, you're concerned if that patient doesn't show up, right?
mhm,
And if I could, answer with an example, and there are many examples. I would choose this example because that's what I see commonly. Patients showing interest, meaning they use your booking page, chose an appointment, but never really show up. It usually
mhm,
happens with our partners in Australia, Don, where booking pages are more in common than calling front desk. When you have
mhm,
a non-human channel booking the first appointment, you would generally see more no-shows. Then imagine
mhm.
speaking with Don, who took 10 minutes to speak with you, understand you. I
Yeah.
would be com complied to even call you and tell you that I'm so sorry I cannot make the appointment. But if it was a
Mm,
booking page with no personalization, you end up, getting no shows with no responses, right? So a lot of practices, especially in that area, and those who predominantly use the book now button suffer from
mm,
no shows, especially from the booking page. And they're confused why this happens because they saw the interest, but they didn't show up. One reason is new patients want to speak to someone, to know the brand, to know the experience. And a booking page seldomly communicate that, but they do a wonderful job with existing patients. So that's my angle to it.
Check. Appreciate that, Omer. And Michael, we hope that you got the answer you were looking for. Now we have arrived at the top of the hour. I want to ask each panelist for their 30 seconds or less golden rule, the single most important principle for designing a premium patient experience that retains. Audrey, can you start us off?
Yeah. So this is something I say a lot. And this is how I would answer it. Because in this industry or in all industries, we talk about B2B and B2C, right? So business to business or business to consumer. And I think in this industry, it's H to H, it's human to human, which is what we already all talked about this entire time.
H to H, love that.
I've
Uh,
never heard that before. I'm gonna
I
write it
got it.
down.
It wasn't mine that I created. I got it from something like 8 years ago. And
Wow.
it was on like a LinkedIn, and I was like, this is the most brilliant thing ever. And I screenshotted it. And to this day, I use it in all my presentations. So I was
Wow.
not the creator of it. I consumed that content, and I just totally agree with it.
It is true
Right.
today more than the last
Yeah.
7 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you for sharing edge to edge.
Absolutely. And that's a great point because I think Antonia had mentioned that way earlier on as
Yeah.
well, that human connection. So
Mhm.
Antonia, what's your golden rule for us here tonight?
Yeah, just giving your real self to clients, and I think that they will stay with you, and paying attention to what they really want, and then delivering the service will give you
Absolutely.
retention.
Be authentic, give your attention,
H to
followed up by
H.
the
Yes.
and H.
H to H.
H to
We're all going
H.
to take H to H here.
You're
Um,
welcome to it.
yeah. And Omar, I don't want to leave you alone there. Would you also, from your perspective, give us a golden nugget real quickly as we close things off?
Find good mentors and follow them. There's many things that I learned today in this panel that I didn't know before or didn't knew but couldn't articulate, and I learned, and I'm happy to learn more. So you don't have to be a know-it-all. You've taken the time to register, join, make time available on this day for an hour. I hope you had some amazing learnings. If you liked anything that Antonio shared or Audrey shared, please do follow them on Facebook and social media and give them a shout out. I'm sure they'll appreciate.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Omar. It's
Yep.
truly definitely agree with that, finding good mentors and following them through. Right. Well, then we have arrived at the final stretch. I do want to give a quick final reminder here about Echo Marketing's marketing strategy meeting. If patients in your city are searching for the services that you offer, make sure you're the one that is found and trusted and chosen. Go ahead and click that link in the chat box one last time, or else you can check that QR code on your screen here for a few more seconds. 3, 2, 1, and boom. So this has been an exceptional hour. And of course, if you took one thing away tonight, let it be this. Premium patient experience isn't a luxury. It's your highest leverage growth strategy. Each touch point is a retention moment, and the practices that engineer those moments are the ones that stop chasing new patients and start building a practice that fills itself. Now, as you exit this webinar, a quick feedback survey will pop up on a new browser tab. Please do take 30 seconds to fill that out. It'll help us bring even better events for you. And of course, Audrey, Antonia, thank you so much for your expertise and experience here tonight. Everyone, thank you so much for your time, your questions, and of course, everything you do for your patients. I'm Don Adisha. Of course, I got it. Thanks, Omar, as well. Thank you, Omar, for joining in as well. And, it's my pleasure to have hosted this event. We'll see you on the next Business of Aesthetics panel. Good night.